I have compared many a business model, being in business, having an MBA, being in consulting. I compared many business models, consulting models, different companies, why they go bankrupt, this and that. And I knew that a lot of missions agencies might not make it if they were in companies. They might go bankrupt because they're just not efficient. And God tells us, look at the parable with the talents. That's a very strong, powerful passage. God tells us that we need to be efficient with our time, with our funds, with our energy, with everything. So when I saw this, I thought, here's an organization that's totally efficient. 100% goes to the field. Where else could you get a missionary for $30 a month? Now, I know the real cost is $120, but even $120 a month you share it with 3 others, that's just unheard of, you know. And so when I heard that, I was just sold. Then I signed up for 3 years. I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I'm chewing off a little too much, but still, it just made so much sense, and I felt peace. And but I never felt bad about it, never compuncted it. In fact, like 2.5 years later, I got a letter saying, you're a missionary now. One of them has actually started a church. As you know, within 11 months, they started a church. They have enough Hindus and Muslims saved to start a church. And started a church and is self-supportive. So thank you so much for what you've done. But you don't really need to make the sacrifice anymore. You don't need to send the money anymore. Like, oh my goodness. So they said, do you want another one? I said, yeah, I don't think that's rocket science either. I will take another. So I have cycled through a number, and it's just such a good feeling every day to wake up. And then the Lord just told me, about 5 years ago, the Lord told me, look, it's wonderful you have your career, and that's good, and nothing wrong with it, but I need you more to reach out, because the job that I do is to reach out to people and to call on pastors, and it's a lot of people would prefer to travel rather than do that. And you know how it is reaching out to your people, and it's not easy, but somebody's got to do it. And these people, if they come over from India and they do it themselves, it costs for one missionary, counting at $120 a month, it's $1,440. So their trip would be more than if they would serve for a whole entire year, fully supported. So that doesn't make any sense either. So you actually, it makes a lot of sense for you in this generation that you are in right now. You can truly do it all. You can have your career and support that missionary, because it's more efficient for you to support a national missionary than it is for you to go yourself, because you wouldn't speak the language and know all of those things. And this is happening right now. The national missionary model is fairly new. We started 30 years ago, but the Lord has blessed tremendously. Now churches are more used to that model. Before they were not that used to it, and it was more difficult. And so now churches are beginning to listen. They want to be more effective, and they're really buying into that model. But right now life is cheap in India. But as you know, anybody that's in programming, most of the programmers come out of India. India has a huge middle class already. In fact, it's as big as the United States. It's just the Hindus will not help the poor person because they believe that it destroys their karma. It might even affect their own. To me, it's I don't know, cheap excuse maybe, but they won't help, they won't reach out. So when we do something for them, it's just incredible. They really respond. We had, about 8 years ago or so, the Hindus, they said, that we're so tired, especially the lower caste, the Dalits. We're so tired of this. We're so tired of this life of not getting any respect, being treated less than human, because they respect animals highly. The cows can roam freely, of course, they're gods. But even the other rats and all these, they're all treated very nicely, many times better than the lower caste, which, by the way, is 300 million people, about the population of the United States. And so they said, it's illegal to be treated like that. It's not the law, it's not the politics, it's not the tradition. It's the religion. It's the Hindu faith. So they said, fine, we're done with it. We're just going to take anything, really. And so they said, well, I guess the next best thing is Buddhism. They looked at Buddhism. And then some of the bigger Christian groups got together. They said, well, what about Christianity? You should maybe consider it. Just, take a look and listen. And so they did. They did consider it. And a large group of the Hindus actually now are very open. There's 300 leaders that met of the Hindu caste, the lower caste, representing 300 million people. And they said, you know what? We will add Christianity to that list. If you switch to Christianity, it's okay with us. Now, if the leaders come out with such a statement, that leaves people open. I mean, that's an endorsement. And so now these people are saying, well, because their kids are not educated, and they say, well, if we have a Christian school or a Christian program, we let our kids come, and we tell them, but we would make Christians out of them. That's what we want. So we have this opportunity, this window of opportunity that's really awesome. And the other thing is, the middle class, although there is a strong middle class, but the other class is growing. So right now, the dollar still carries a far ways in India, but it won't always stay that way. We will not always be able to have a missionary for $30 a month. It might be different in 5 years, definitely in 10. These economies grow, as you see with China. I mean, they're already the leader of the pack. We won't always have this opportunity. But I wanted to show you a little DVD, a 6-minute clip of India and how it's there right now. It's about Cha Ishri.